Hello friends, and welcome to the Hanged Man in the Moon. If this is your first time here, welcome. I'm pleased to meet you. Thank you for coming. If you've been here before, thank you for returning. I'm truly honored. Well friends, as usual, the tarot spread has been laid, so let's dive right in. Do you recognize the decks in this spread? Do you recognize the general shape of this spread? If you've been here before, you might notice that this is my layout for a week ahead reading. And you might also recognize that these are the same decks that I used in the video last week. And I'm using them again because honestly, I've fallen in love with the artwork in these decks. I think they work beautifully together, and also they inspire deep readings because of the richness of the detail in the decks. And as always, if you're curious about the creators of these decks, one of them is the Source Energy Art Collector's deck, and the other two that are paired together are the Touchstone Tarot and the Golden Tarot by Cat Black. But the information is all at the end of the video. Also, there are inquiry cards. I forgot about those. So those are the decks. If you want to purchase the decks, the links will be below the video. And again, this is the week ahead spread. And I'm bringing this week's week ahead spread here because I noticed that it was not only useful for getting a general sense of the energy of this week, but also provided fodder, provided thoughtful information, thought-provoking information about living intentionally. Especially when we look at the first or central card of this spread. So let's do that. Let's look at the central card of the spread. The first card of this spread, the central card of this spread, is the Two of Swords. Isn't she beautiful? When we see the Two of Swords card in a standard Rider-Waite Smith deck and in this deck, we see a woman seated. In this, she is seated on the ground, very stable, and she's holding two swords, perfectly balanced in the air, and her eyes are blindfolded. And she's sitting in front of some perhaps turbulent water. This card is showing us the importance of choices, making choices from the place of a balanced mind. Now, she's not picking up a sword and wildly flailing at the air, making random choices, yeah? She's seated, steady, balanced. She's got her mind also in balance. Her thoughts are balanced. And in this posture, she is making her choices. She has also stepped out of or away from the turbulent emotions behind her to make her choices. Why do you think making choices is so important for leading an intentional life? What does making choices do for us, living intentionally? Well, our choices are what guide, direct, adjust the flow of our intention. We make choices every moment of every day. We see one thing, we like it, we head towards it. We see something else, we don't like it, we make another choice. And each one of those choices influences the direction of our flow of intention. So that our flow of intention will line us up with all of the choices that we make, all of the positive choices that we make, all of the places that we place our intention. Those are all our choices. And of course, we want to open ourselves to the flow of our intention so that we can move forward. But the direction of the flow is guided by the choices that we make. And we can see in this card that we want to be removed from turbulent emotions when we are making our choices. If we're making our choices randomly without clarity, in a reactive stance, we're not going to be making the best choices we could possibly make. If we can step away from the turbulent emotions into a clear space, into an allowing space when we make our choices, we will be much more effective and make much better choices. You'll also see that she is blindfolded, but you can also see that she has the ability to remove that blindfold whenever she wants and take the next step, take the action step afterwards when she's ready. But first she's got to make her choice. And so the central card of this reading is making choices. It's all about the choices. And in this reading, we're not going to look at so much what choices we should or should not make. That's all our choice. But we're going to be asking questions around what inspires us when making our choices. What needs to be balanced? Do you have balance? What needs to be balanced when we're making our choices? And what is working well when we're making our choices now? So let's look at the first set of cards around this reading. You can see in this grouping, the first question is, what inspires us? What inspires me? And the first card is the Nine of Wands. And the Nine of Wands in this deck looks actually pretty peaceful. But generally, in other decks, you can see a lot more exhaustion, a lot more suffering that has gone through. The Nine of Wands is the card of perseverance, of survival, of getting over and past and moving through difficult times. And sometimes that is the first stage of inspiration for making choices for us. We sometimes make our strongest choices after our strongest difficulties. We go through something that we really do not want, and then we choose what we really do want. And that is the beginning of the Nine of Wands. Our courage. The Nine of Wands is a person who has gone through great difficulties, a battle of some sort, very difficult stress, very uncomfortable circumstances. But the Nine of Swords person has not been knocked down. In this card, she is still standing strong. She's been through it. Maybe she needs to set some boundaries between her and what has gone on in the past, that difficulty, but she's still standing. And she's ready to make that new choice. Now, having gone through the difficulty is what is inspiring her to choose something else. So, this card shows the trigger, the instigator for the inspiration. Yeah? The fuse has been lit with the Nine of Wands. And we need to be careful with the Nine of Wands that we don't settle into a defensive posture. A defensive posture is a posture of resistance. A defensive posture is a posture where we can heal, sure, but we are not going to be moving forward. We're not going to be moving in the direction of the new choice that we've made. Yeah? We're going to be stuck. And sometimes we need to be stuck. Sometimes we need to take a break from the flow of our intention. That's okay. As long as we know that that is not where we want to live. That we're here to rest, to recuperate, to heal, and then we can open up the doors in the direction we want to move in. Because the Fool, right next to her, is showing us the real inspiration. after we've made the choice that came to us in the aftermath of battle, of pain, of struggle. Inspiration, what inspires us is the new beginning. What inspires us is reclaiming our free spirit. What inspires us is spontaneity. We're not going to find that locked up in our castle walls. We're going to have to open the wall and move forward. Open the doors and move forward. Reclaiming our inner innocence. Now, I hear not the guilt innocence kind of innocence, but innocence of the fresh, new, naive spirit that is always out for looking at or having new experiences. That is the Fool. And that is what inspires us. Now, our choice is that moment between. That moment between, I've made it. I'm here, I'm okay, I don't want to do that anymore, and I want to do that. That is what inspires us. Now, the moment between the Nine of Wands and the Fool. Let's look at the next set of cards. This set of 3 cards asks the question, what needs to be balanced? And this is probably the reason that I thought, yes, I've got to use this spread in this week's video. What needs to be balanced? And you can see there are 2 cards here. One is the 3 of Wands, and one is the 2 of Coins, or 2 of Pentacles. And those 2 cards, if we can balance them, will help us live our lives intentionally and with ease, without slipping to one side or the other, in balance of choice and in balance of action. The 3 of Wands is the card of progress. Yeah? It's the card of the adventurous course, the movement towards that thing that we have chosen, whatever that is. What are your choices these days? What are you moving towards? Those things are the things that your flow of intention is moving towards. The new love, the new creation, the new art, the new job, the new house, the new relationship, whatever, the new service you want to provide to the people around you or to humanity. Those are the choices. And the 3 of Wands is the card of moving in the direction of those choices and bringing or allowing the things that we want to experience into our experience. It's the card of the action from intention. It's the card of expansion. It's the card of productivity. And those are all wonderful things. But we also need to remember that when the Fool walks out of the protective gate of the castle, of the barricaded castle, when the Fool has made the choice of the inspired choice of moving outside of the castle, the Fool is not stripped completely bare. Now, the Fool has the things that the Fool still wants to carry with him or her. And that is the 2 of Coins, the 2 of Pentacles. Even though we're moving forward in the direction of our intention towards our new creation, we still have things that we are carrying with us. We're never, well, except for when we were born and new into the world, that first moment. After that first moment, we entered into the world in these bodies. We started to collect experiences and things and people. And we carry those things, many of them, with us. Some of them fall on the wayside, and some of them should fall along the wayside. Yeah? We can't carry everything with us because that would be a burden. But the things that we do carry with us, we need to learn how to balance. We need to balance our time. Now, time management is part of living intentionally. We need to balance the possibilities with the results. Yeah, we've got some good results that we want to carry forward into the future. If you're living in a beautiful house that you're happy with, you want to keep that with you as you make your new choices. If you're in a wonderful relationship, you don't want to leave that relationship behind just because you made a choice to have a new job. Now, we carry those things with us, and as we create the new in our lives, as we move in the direction of our new adventures, we also carry those things with us, and we need to be able to balance them. And that's what the balance of the choices indicates. Yeah? The balanced mind, the balanced time, the balanced resources. In that balance, we make our choices much more effectively and much more powerfully and much more precisely. So, what needs to be balanced? On the one hand, our progress, our movement forward, and on the other hand, the things that we are carrying with us. That balance and the balance between what we are and what we will be is what helps us move more smoothly and much more freely with the flow of our intention. Let's look at the last set of cards. This group of cards is asking us what is working well, and what is working well for you right now, in this moment. What is working well? I promise you there will be something, even one thing that is working well for you right now. It could be your body. Are you able to breathe? I hope you are able to breathe. If you are able to breathe, that is working well. Are you able to eat? If you are able to eat, I hope you are able to eat. If you are able to eat, that is working well. Do you have one friend? Or maybe a few friends? I hope you have some friends. If you have friends that you feel comfortable with, even if we can't see each other face to face now, even though we might not be able to hug our friends right now, or touch our friend's shoulder in love or in solace. Still, if we have friends in our lives that we are communicating with, and I hope you have that, that is working well. The place of power for the Two of Swords is that point of balance. A step away from the emotional turmoil and being able to recognize what is working well. And so, when we're in that stable, seated place, we'll recognize that, for one, our mental clarity is working very well. And that is what the King of Swords is telling us. That at that moment, at that time, our mental clarity is working very well. We have our intellectual powers activated. We have authority. Yeah, we recognize our authority in our lives. That we can make choices. We can choose how we are going to react. We can choose the direction we want to move in. We may not be able to choose the exact shape of the results because we're not that smart as human beings. Spirit, our higher power, whatever you want to call that, God, divine source, the intelligent universe, the quantum field, Gaia, whatever you want to call that which is the creating force in this universe, has such a much better plan, result, creation than we can imagine before it comes. Because we are mostly limited to this gray matter and perhaps a little bit more insight. Whereas our higher selves, our spirit, and the higher power, our divine creator, whatever you want to call that, has so much more knowledge and is so much more creative than we can possibly be in these bodies, in this temporal consciousness. Yeah, we also have universal consciousness available to us, but in this temporal consciousness, there are limitations. Still, we recognize that we have authority within and with ourselves. We also recognize that we have the ability to recognize truth. And with that clarity, with that truth, with that personal authority, we do well when we make our choices. And we making our choices in the balanced, well-seated place of the Two of Swords is the place of mental clarity. The card beside the King of Swords is the card that was a stumbling block for me. Because the Ten of Wands is a card of burden. It's a card of hard work. And perhaps it's reminding us now that we are still in the moment, globally, of burden, of hard work. We're still having a hard time taking care of business because of all of the limitations and the extra things we have to do to maintain our health and the health of those we love. That is an extra burden, and perhaps that extra burden is also working well for us. Because when we are grounded, when we have our mental clarity, those burdens will help us make new choices. Because like we were in the Nine of Wands, we're still standing. And maybe we're nearing the end of this extra burden. Now we're probably not going to be coming out of it tomorrow. Tomorrow being the day after the day I upload this video. We're probably not going to be coming out of this pandemic tomorrow. The burdens are not going to be lifted tomorrow, but maybe those burdens are working well for us right now. In the sense that they are helping us make stronger, more creative, more clearer choices. We make stronger, clearer, more powerful choices when we make them from something we don't like than when we make them from contentment. When we make a choice of, I love this, I want to continue this, that's a good choice, and we can flow with that. But the choice of change is always going to be a little bit more energized. It's going to be a little bit more powerful, if you will. And so, perhaps, the Ten of Wands is showing us that, yes, we're nearing the end of a heavily burdened time, and that burden can, perhaps, work well for us. It can move us in the direction of the new world we want to create. We keep talking about the new normal, as if, the new normal. Can you get used to this new normal in a very pessimistic, very cranky way? And that is not flowing in the direction of our intention. The new normal has to be the bright, wonderful, new creation before us. Or else we are going to continue resisting it. And as we resist what will be the new normal, as we resist it, we do two things. One, we resist the flow of our intention. We resist our power. And that will break us down. Resisting the power of our intention will make us collapse because we're using all of our energy to fight against the flow of what we want to do. That's tiring, it's exhausting. The second thing is, as we resist the new normal, we no longer have the power to create the new normal. We're just running into it, sludging our way into it blindly, without any control, without any direction. However, if we can recognize that we are moving into the new normal and that we can help shape the new normal is going to be a collective creation. And if we play our part, if we walk into it knowing that we're moving in the direction of love, joy, well-being, and pure awareness, then we will have the mental clarity. We will have the authority to create the kind of new normal we really want. The normal that we left behind, we needed to leave behind. It was unjust for so many people. And maybe the new normal will be a much more just, much more healthy normal than the one we're leaving. What do you think? What helps you make your choices? What do you think the new normal is going to be? What do you think the joyful new normal is going to be? What do you imagine when you are in your mental clarity? And what do you think is working well for you when you are making your choices? What do you think facilitates your choices and your ability to move in the direction of those choices? I'd love to hear about that. So friends, I encourage you to hit the like button if you feel moved. I would be really grateful if you shared this video with anyone who you thought might get benefit from it. If you want to know when these videos are being uploaded, hit the subscribe button and smash that bell, as they say. Smash it with all the force of your intention. And leave comments below. I'd love to hear from you. I'd love to engage in discussion. What do you think? And friends, now, as always, as we sit here in our mental clarity and we are making choices for the new normal, I wish you love, joy, well-being, and pure awareness. Thank you.